This is just to show splicing a couple of ice temperature sensors. So I've got them staggered up there. I taped it just so I could like straighten them out. These are just chunks of heat shrink that I've put all along here, and I've left it loose. I didn't heat it up because I want to make sure that I can lay these perfectly flat on the ice surface. So this allows me to rotate them if there's any twists in the wire. Try and keep it as flat as possible. These are just heat shrinks that I've stacked here because once I make my joint, they're too small to slide over the sensor. Same, I've got some on this end stacked that I'm going to slide over once I've closed this all up. So I've already joined these two, and you see I could have staggered these just a little bit further apart. There's about a ½ centimeter maybe overlap there, and so what I'm doing is just basically laying everything out in advance. So stacking my first layer of heat shrink, my additional layers of heat shrink. So these ones already have one like this, and this is the one, this has got solder in it. So this solder is going to go over the joint. So these are different size wires. They're quite small wires. So I've twisted them up. Hard to do this and hold the camera at the same time. Twisted them up. I'm going to cut it, leaving a good chunk there, and then I'm going to fold that over towards the smaller wire. Slide. I need to use two hands for a second. Slide this over so that that solder is right over the joint that I made, and then when I heat this up, that solder is going to melt and fully coat that joint, and then it's also going to close up everything nicely here. And then I'll slide over this heat shrink, and then I'll basically repeat the whole process with the red wire, and then I'll slide over all these heat shrinks. And by staggering these joints like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to give it like a really nice not bulky joint. Given that there's 4 different wires being joined, there's actually 6 wires in this that I trim back to 2, and this I left even though there's no shielding in these wires, which is fine because it's going to be on cement underneath ice, so there's no electrical interference to worry about at this tip of the cable. But I'm going to use this, and I'm going to intertwine it around all my wires here after I make these joints, and wrap this over top before I put these heat shrinks here and here over top. And that's just because I want to use this wire and this to give a bunch of extra strength to where my joint is underneath the heat shrink that I'm going to apply, so that way I get a really nice strong joint as well. And so something to note, you want to get dual wall, and it should say it on there. This brand is quite good. The difference is this dual wall stuff, when it closes up, focus. Maybe I won't be able to get that to focus. Anyways, there, almost. When it closes up, it makes like a really good watertight joint because it pushes glue out the edges on both ends, and it also shrinks quite dramatically when you heat shrink it. So these are all supposed to be 3 to 1, and that gives you like a really nice tight seal. If you do ever have a spot where like the heat shrinks maybe just a tiny bit on the large sides for your wire, which this almost is because this is such a small wire, you can just like wear a pair of gloves that are, have some little bit of thickness and insulating to them, and really just pack this down after you've heated it up to really like squish out any air and like make sure that it's closed up really well. Another thing that works well is to, like, after you heat it, let it cool, and then you can go back and heat it a second time, and you'll sometimes get just a little bit more shrinkage out of that wire in order to try and make sure that you get like a completely watertight joint. All right, hopefully that's helpful.